Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RomaPress podcast. Settle in. I hope you are ready for this one. That was the full Roma experience before we dive into the absolute depravity to which we were subjected to. Obviously, thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. If you would like to join, patreon.com/RomaPress. And we hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Speechless. We are immensely grateful for all of the support shown by all of you. It means so incredibly much. We can't thank you enough. The absolute positive feedback, even on ways to improve my physical look. I mean, nothing short of appreciated. Uh, Beyond surprising many of you as to what the voice is, the face to the voice. That's still a comment I see, Andy, which makes me laugh because in the way, I feel like I should apologize for ruining whatever image people may have had of what I look like. It truly has been very overwhelming. Like the number of people you get on your live streams too. Just it's insane to me that this many people not only care about Roma, but
Sure, and also are willing to engage because more than the
yes,
number, actually, sometimes we don't even have that many people, but there is such a positive engagement that's the whole point of, I think, the channel to begin with was to have that, and I think it so far it exceeded the expectations that we had to begin with.
well, that's all true. If we want to talk about exceeding expectations, one thing that most of us, since we have opted to subject ourselves to Roma, not only in terms of support by investing time, our, our weekends into watching this team, we have forfeited a lot of things. For instance, normal cardiac health. That's been forfeited. We have forfeited probably the normal life expectancy when we are all laid out on the slab of the mortician. It's not going to take much of an explanation as to what happened here. When we're there 15 to 20 years prior to when most would expect us to be, it will just be did he go through a lot of stress? Did she support a certain team, or was she was it some sort of auto accident? Like what happened? There will be no intricate story. It will just be they watched AS Roma and they did so for an extended period. You know how for medications they have that very long list of things like if you take this medication, this could happen or that may happen, right? Roma needs something akin to that before the match starts. Some sort of warning, disclosure to people to be like, listen, this is
Or you
not
could take it to
normal.
the next level and have those very graphic images that you have on the cigarette packs.
Yeah,
Like this is what happens to your
yeah,
genitalia every time you watch Roma play. This is what
yeah,
happens to your anus every time Roma go into the final 5 minutes of the match against Lecce. This is what happens, you know.
yeah. Like right before
This is not, we've been, I mean, again, we've been doing this a long time. So I feel like you and I have like sort of built up a bit of resistance both ways, both when Roma lose,
mm,
both when they win. We are still able to come on here and not, piss ourselves either
too
from
late for that,
sadness
my
and
friend. No.
frustration or out of happiness. But I think the supporter that goes to the stadium or the supporter that lives in Australia and has to watch these games at late at night or early in the morning right before going to work, that must be absolute hell.
Hold on. What
Um,
time is it in Australia right now?
oh, it has to be like 4 in the morning, I would
A
assume,
sick in
in Sydney.
right now in Perth. It
Perth.
is
Okay, we're talking. Okay, so the other side.
right. So 3:19
Yeah,
in the
three. Yeah,
morning.
3 in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah, imagine
yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
woken up to that.
No, it's
Uh
or going to sleep with that. You're not going to be
oh,
sleeping either way, because that's what Roma do to you. They keep you awake for various reasons. They keep you awake either through a loss or through a win. The thing is, they will keep you awake at night.
I mean, I'm sure we have some very educated individuals. Actually, I know we do because we have them in the group chat. People of the medical field. It's like isn't like the internal part they call it like gastronomy? Isn't that the word for it? I can only imagine
No,
what the
that's not
body
gastronomy, man.
internally goes through, like your
Gastronomy
intestines
is
and all this other
food,
stuff.
man.
Being
Gastronomy is
subjected to that is
gastronomy is food.
okay. Well, see, that's now we know I don't have a scalpel within my hand. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I was prepared, and by the way, prior to full time, usually we have a pretty good read on how the match is going to go. So what I do before full time, I'm at least getting started on some of the media stuff. I'm doing the images. I'm doing post match podcast stuff. If there's anybody who wants to talk to me after the match on various programs, they're emailing me and I'm responding, and I'm scheduling out what it looks like, and I have a relatively good idea as to what results, performance, all that good stuff we're looking at. Wow, all of that got binned within 120 seconds as Roma. It was, and if you want to talk about dead in the water, they were not only dead in the water, they were beginning to. They were the corpse in the water that was beginning to bloat after being in the water for far too long, because I had no faith that they were going to find an equalizer. Forget the winner. And even if they had found the equalizer, I have to admit, a draw would have felt like a defeat tonight. I don't know how you would have felt. We were very clear that you have to win this. So anything other than winning tonight would have been a disappointment, would have been falling short of what we expected. I still would have felt, even after they got that equalizer from none other. By the way, ever since you brought up that thing of Zalewski not having assists, every single time he gets onto the pitch, I am so fixated on every single time the ball is at his feet, because in my head, I am doing like these quick maths like, okay, from here, maybe he could get an assist. From over there, probably not. Here, maybe. There, no, not going to happen. It finally happened. It finally happened. And by the way,
Assist number 2 in appearance number 79, I think, something like that. We got it.
what
We got it. Just
surprises
like
more, the assist or the goal score? Because Azmoun, man, that guy should have at least 3 or 4. The way he comes, if the you know the game horseshoes where you have to come close to the pin without you have to, whoever gets closer to the pin, that's who the winner is. If that was a sport, because he did it even last year with Bayern Leverkusen, where he had like 2 against Roma. If the goal of the sport was to get as close as you can to scoring a goal without actually scoring the goal, the man would be world class. I mean, world class. He finally found the goal, a concrete goal that stood. I don't know if I should be more surprised that he scored the goals, that Zaleski gave the assist, that Roma even won, because again, even if or I'm sorry, Lukaku got the winner. Azmoun got the equalizer. Even just by that, though, even those two, the assist and the goal before the or the winner of Lukaku, I probably would have still come on here and said, "Wow, deflated." I would have come on here deflated. I would have come on here disappointed, because it's Lecce, it's at home. We saw everything that took place this weekend. You had Lazio lose, you had Milan lose. So this was an opportunity before the ball even kicked off, before the game even began. You had an opportunity to make up 3 points on 2 very big opponents, and to have settled and been okay. I mean, forget the defeat. A draw would have been a major, at least in my case, and I'm sure you feel the same, would have been a major kick to the testicles. So even after Azmoun finds the back of the net, I'm still thinking, okay, well, we avoided a complete and total meltdown where Andy and I have to take some form of medication, drugs mixed with alcohol of choice to get through a half an hour to 40-minute episode. Okay, well, we don't have to do that. Great. But then Lukaku pops up and gets the winner. Even by Roma standards, this was depravity. I mean, who would choose to be subjected to, man, that was as excited as I am. I mean, when I have to tell all 22 of my children that I passed away at 52 because I decided to subject myself to this every single weekend, it's going to be difficult to reconcile. But at the end of the day, they get their 3 points. I don't even know what to say because it's one of those games where, yes, they got the victory, but I can't just discount what happened before that winter, man. I can't discount those 90 minutes. Those 90 minutes. That was some of the most shit football we have seen, most ineffective. I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to fairly and accurately judge this one. I don't know because sometimes, man, I just feel like by us choosing to do this, choosing to work in the media sphere of ICE Roma, we have forfeited a few things. A normal lifespan, and B, uh, we are not worthy of explanation for some of this stuff because it defies explanation. It defies logic. It defies everything that makes the world go round and make sense to all of us. Sometimes there are not sometimes there are many universal truths in the world. None of them apply or are given by IS Roma. I have no idea what to say. The floor is yours while I try to find feeling in the lower half of my extremities.
Well, I mean, it's I understand. I'm usually the one whose job it is to come on and try to take everything and
The
make
wise
sense of it.
sage.
Put it out there for everybody to also. I'm the reference guy. I'm sure somewhere there is some obscure reference that I could make right now. I'm also lost for words because these matches still catch me off guard, with how Roma approached them, with how
Mm,
these scenarios play out time and time again. Um, we said last time out that the match against Inter was predictable. Well, this was anything but. Um, it really was because you felt
yes.
that this team was dead. So you felt like, okay, the scenario that you have in mind and the one likeliest to play out is the one where we lose. Or if anything, we get a draw, a last minute draw, and we have to live with it. We have to live with the thought of losing 2 points to Lecce, and that's another match that you look back upon at the end of the season, and you want to kill yourself because all those points that you've lost along the way against Salernitana and Las Verona and the like stack up and make you look bad in the end in the league table. Well, today it was like it always feels like when you have these games, it always feels like exactly like Roma pull you back in. Like that's the best I can do right
Don't do
now,
the
which is one of
Godfather
those.
thing, please. Just don't do it.
No, I shouldn't do it.
No, I can't do it. I mean,
You
that was
don't
so
want me.
sick,
You
man.
don't want me
Like,
to roll back the 1990 Pacino version. You don't want
no,
no.
I can't tonight, man. Just again, there are just some things that I can make sense of. Let's just get the ugliness out of the way. Just because Roma won, I don't want to be in a. I don't want to focus on the negatives here, but you just said it. You you said it against Genoa, and I still that lingers in my mind because it was a perfect assessment. I mean, man, the way they approached this was. I was shocked at just how poor they were 75, 85 minutes. I mean, they did not play good football really until the 90th in the extra time. I couldn't make sense of it.
Well, I mean, once again, it's those moments where really they make you doubt whether this team has it or they don't, and you have to wonder when then they go on and they complete a comeback, they turn this around, they score. Is that really the team, or is the team the core of the team? Is it the one that we saw for 75 minutes, or is it the one that we saw for the final 20 minutes or so? Which one is it? Is the team that we want to pull for, is it the one that beat Empoli 7-0, or is it the one that got beaten 4-1 by Genoa, embarrassed completely? Like, which one is it? That's for me. That's the issue with Roma. Is that I don't know. It's a matter of identity. This team doesn't have a clear identity from my point of view of somebody who wants to see continuity. I'm always given anything but in these performances. It's an up and down, it's a constant roller coaster. These performances that ultimately, they, yes, they amount to something, but most of the time you're sitting there and you're questioning yourself, like, am I watching a football match, or am I watching an NFL game that is interrupted every 20 seconds by commercials with Pitbull and Chris Rock? Like, what am I watching? What is this? Because it feels, like, I'm not a big fan of the NFL. Like, sometimes if I'm miserable and depressed, I may watch a Raiders game at like 2 in the morning. The problem with the NFL is that it's packed with commercials. So you have a game that should amount to an hour stretched out beyond belief to over 3 hours. It feels like that when you're watching Roma. Sometimes in these games, it feels like it's everything is so jagged, everything is so lagged, everything is so uh, distorted, spliced. You don't have a smooth performance. You cannot expect something that is smooth, that is easy. That's why that win against Empoli was so unnatural and goes
Mm,
into the history books of the club, because it was so, wow, one-sided, great, fantastic. This was by any means, not a fantastic performance, but it's a fantastic result. The implications of it are extremely positive for a team that needed
yes.
to bounce back from the loss against Inter, a team that needed all the positive energy it can get before facing Slavia Praga and the return leg in Europa League. And more importantly, it needed all the positive energy to go into the derby against Lazio, who just lost against the Bologna, and once again, prove something, because tonight we said it. We didn't make a preview. We didn't say anything that was, insightful. We just said they have to win. It's straightforward. Tonight should have been straightforward. It was anything but straightforward, although the result is what you were looking for at the end. That's that to me, it's magical. Like, I know some people will still, find a way to not be happy about this. For me, if I can go and have a normal evening and not think about Roma bringing me pain and misery into my life, I'm a happy man. I'm a happy man. I can go out. I can meet all the cougars I want, and I'm a happy man. I don't have to worry about a football team. So tonight is the night. As Rod Stewart used to sing, "Tonight's the night, baby," and we did it. Like, that's really, you have Azmoun finally scoring the goal. You have Romelu Lukaku making up for the mistakes. So once again, in this torrent of emotions that Roma grant us, it's a perfect screenplay. Like, in all this chaos, confusion, pain, suffering, frustration, anger that we feel game in, game out, they still find a way to surprise us.
Mm,
After that Inter defeat, which was phoned in, it was predictable. We At the end of the day, we expected it. This was a very nice breath of fresh air, and I'm glad, because I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be able to look forward to recording this with you. I wouldn't be able to look forward to the live stream that I'll record right after this, because Roma far too many times have given me, a reason to, to not look forward to things. Whereas tonight, it seemed like they turned back the clock to that famous Roma Genoa match with Totti, the last match of
oh,
his career, where it was exactly like that. Like, almost for me, today the emotions were almost the same. I'm not going to say the same, because the implications for that were incredible. You ended up in the Champions League because of that.
man, you're just asking us to get abused in the comments.
Yes, well, but the emotion of seeing this team fail and then rise back up through a borderline miracle, makes you believe in some sort of deity. We like to rail on against the footballing gods, but tonight, whoever is up there took the time and smiled upon us. So I'm not gonna take it for granted.
I am not incredibly religious. If anybody knows who that person Andy just referred to is, or they, the whatever, maybe they have no gender, whoever they are, just please have them get in contact with me because I have many things to discuss with them. The thing, the thing is, I said I didn't expect or I didn't think they were going to find the equalizer. I didn't think they were going to find the winner. You just said it perfectly. We have been doing this for so long. I'm obviously surprised and ecstatic about the result. I can't tell you though, and I cannot admit that I'm incredibly surprised. I mean, this team has ways, and I'm going to avoid doing the impression of Al Pacino. When you think you are hanging onto the cliff, I mean, just barely. Your fingers are slipping off. You can feel it, just like in the films where that person is on the edge. You can see their grip. It's about to fall. They're about to lose a grip. And they're about to fall off the side of the mountain. Out of nowhere, they just reach a hand down and pull you up. It's absolutely incredible to me. It's not only the manner in which they do it, because man, we've seen them do this in so many different, in a variety of ways, with some of the most unexpected characters doing these things. But the absolute sheer amount of times it happened. We just did this against Monza. How many? How? 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 And by
Yeah,
the way,
time and time again, they make you lose faith,
yes,
and then they just, I can't, man. It's just, I have to do it. They pull me just when I thought I was out. They pull me back in.
I can't blame you for wanting to do that. I mean,
Sorry,
it's
I'm sorry. I have to.
no, 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 no.
No,
It's
no,
you
because
had to do it on a night like tonight.
I prefer to do it here rather than walking down the street, because otherwise I do it out on the street, in front of strangers. If I
Well,
get
I
it
was
out
about
of
to
my
say,
system here now,
well, I mean,
you
when you're
know,
making the 22-kilometer walk back from the Olympico, that's just, I mean,
yeah,
you can
through
do it then
sewage,
too. I mean, that's
raw
not even in the
sewage.
top 25 things of odd, odd impressions you'll see people do. But in all seriousness, I don't know. Hey, Opta, you have a statistic for everything. You have a statistic. Roma win, like that weird one you did with the sponsor, like Roma's unbeaten when they have this sponsor on the
Yeah,
front
yeah,
of their
yeah,
shirt.
yeah. Five
Like
wins with the new sponsor.
Opta, you come up with data for the most obscene points that nobody in their right mind would even begin to think of. I don't know how you calculate or you bring about, wins when it looked like people were ready to jump off of a bridge, wins where people were just moments away from their internal organ shutting down. Number of wins before whatever, the obscurity, the ridiculousness of it all. Think about how many times Roma do this. I don't watch every single league nearly the amount I do Serie A. I watch nearly every single Serie A match on the weekends. I don't think, and I mean this wholeheartedly, not just because you and I are doing a Roma related podcast and website. I don't think anybody comes close to this, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Nobody brings you to the edge of your emotions, your feelings. Nobody brings you to the brink of your sanity. The amount of times per season that Roma does, nobody even comes close in Serie A, and I am not exaggerating when I say that. The fact that we have done this again, Monza, now, with Lecce, we've barely entered November, and already I'm talking of two strokes in a matter of 2 weeks. Be serious. it is something ingrained in the club. It doesn't matter who the manager is, who the players are. It doesn't matter who. This defies decades. This defies presidencies. There is something that makes them do this, and the manner in which they are able. I mean, again, pulling a rabbit from the hat. I mean, forget that. This is. I mean, this is something akin to I don't know, like the 300 of Leonidas or something, man. The way and the amount of times they do this to you, it amazes me. And again, you and I have been doing this for a very long time. The consistency in which they do this is alarming. I mean, it is sickening to want to willingly subject yourself to it.
Yeah, just as the 7-1s against Fiorentina, the 6-1s against Bodo are also consistent. This is also consistent. Like, how many
Yes.
times you and I have been on here, either completely depressed or so ecstatic about a result that we can't even put it into words, which is ironic because we have a podcast and podcasts are all about words. But that's the case. Like, this team makes you question time and time again, what is your perception of it? Because the RomaPress patron group chat was rightfully confused about tonight's result. They didn't know what to
Mm.
make of it. They were calling for everybody's head up until the 90th minute. So, and today I can't blame them. Today I couldn't blame them. I couldn't blame them. But that's what they do. This team makes you doubt them, doubt them, doubt them, doubt them, and then all of a sudden they just sell you this beautiful song and dance, and it's just this wonderful number right in front of you. You know, it's like a musical. You know, like the La La Land. You're stuck in the middle of the highway in Los Angeles, and all of a sudden there is a musical playing out in the open. You know, a normal scene becomes this great musical act that you get to enjoy. Like, that's Roma. They take the most horrendous performance and then they manage to inject some unbelievable life into it and keep you hooked so that the next game you still tune in. You still tune in, you sheepishly tune in, and you sheepishly hold out hope.
I mean, it brings me the what you just said there. It brings me to something I'm fairly certain this was from The Sopranos about about I think they were explaining to Chris about, or it's Chris explaining to Matthew, drink water, Bevilacqua, something about bleeding a guy dry. You know, you don't want to push them all the way. You want to get them just close enough. And then I forget what the concept he was explaining to him, but it was essentially you want to bring somebody to the edge without pushing them over. Um, I mean, it is astonishing to me because as fun as those first 7 minutes were, I mean, or I'm sorry, those last 7 minutes, the pure and abject torture we were subjected to from 0 to 90. Think about that. Forget extra time. Let's just talk about regular time. That team was devoid of ideas, devoid of energy. The effort, particularly that first half after the penalty, was so low. I was so confused. You know, it's one thing to miss a penalty. And by the way, Lukaku, the zone. I don't know if this is accurate because the zone they seem to butcher a lot of the a lot of the statistics that they show on the screen. But they said coming into that, he was 14 for 14. Romelu Lukaku on penalty kicks in Serie A.
I'll believe that. Yeah.
You knew the second that popped up onto the screen, he was going to miss it, or at least I did.
Yeah. Well,
Curse of the
yeah.
commentator.
Classic.
Um, so
Classic.
okay, he misses. Fine.
Like Diego Perotti.
Okay,
Remember Diego Perotti?
right. Yeah.
Was
Remember
fantastic.
how?
Or no, remember Jordan Vertu?
Yes.
Spot on, then misses that one against the Juve, and then it's gone. So tonight
Right.
with Lukaku, that statistic is certainly true because again with Inter, I remember he used to get into arguments constantly with Lautaro over who's taking the penalty.
Yes.
Tonight it was
Yes.
written in the stars that he was going to miss it.
It absolutely was, but you know, I have to admit that even though he missed it, I wasn't bothered, because I thought that Roma they were just going to be too much for Lecce. But I have to tell you, and again, I think you put this very succinctly in the beginning of this, that man, I obviously happy they won. How much should we care about how bad they were in normal time? Like, obviously, the result is the only thing that matters. I say that all the time on here. When you win a match, there are no asterisks. There is nothing that says you played shit for the first 90 minutes and you won it in extra time. A win is a win is a win is a win. You do not get extra points for aesthetics or style. That said, there are still things, because this is, of course, a nuanced thing to talk about. What should my realistic level of concern be? Because I have to tell you, I'm ecstatic that they won, but man, those first 90 minutes were really, really appalling. I was shocked at just how low they looked, and I assume
But
you think
that's
the
what
same
we're
because you
saying, right?
mentioned
Like
it at the top.
that's the whole point, John. Like our, theoretically having a podcast is a simple thing. You have a topic, you prepare it, you discuss it, whether it's true crime, whether you're a comedian talking to actors, or whether you're two losers sitting on one end of the earth and the other one on the other end of the earth, talking about a football team that is notorious for losing. So theoretically, the line of thought there should be simple. You come on here, you talk about football. It's not rocket science. We don't talk about quantum mechanics or physics or whatever it is. I don't know. See, I'm like you with gastronomy. That's my thing with physics. I have
Yeah,
no idea with it. Mechanical,
I
quantum,
think I was
whatever it
thinking
is.
gastrointestinal, maybe. I don't
I
know.
Yes,
Even that
gastro,
sounds
gas.
incorrect.
No,
Even that's,
yes.
I think
Well,
maybe I just made that word up. I don't know.
no, it's gastroscopy. No, it's gastroscopy. I think.
I,
Whatever.
I
See, that this is not the business that we should be in. My point is, in theory, this is pretty straightforward. But what this team does is they fool you. They fool you because today we should be sitting here and saying, well, what we saw tonight was very, very concerning. Like, had this game ended 2 minutes before the scheduled end of the game, we would have been sitting here contemplating whether we should take a hammer and squash our own testicles just to just to make the pain a little bit duller. uh, but the thing is, we come on here, we have one line of thought, and then this team takes the result, they pull it out of their backside, and all of a sudden you have to you're caught in no man's land because, as you say, there is no asterisk in football. There is no record of whether the team played good or bad tonight. It's just gonna be Roma won, just as it would have been Lecce won had Roma not equalized and then made the comeback win. So, but what preceded the two goals is concern. Objectively, it's concerning. Now, I think it's a pretty good starting point to see where this team is going to go into the next two games, right? We have an
mm,
international break just around the corner. So you're not forced to all of a sudden keep going, keep this going. You're not forced to build another streak because the best that you can do is win the next two games. Well, uh, that's a pretty good testing ground. You go into Europa League, you travel to Prague, so you want to reaffirm your place. You need 1 point to finish first in the group. Well, still, it's important. And then you have the derby against a team that has been just as inconsistent as you have been, if not more.
mm,
So I think tonight's result comes at a good moment in time. It's
yes,
the way it came around is could be described as disappointing, but overall, the moment it takes place in is encouraging. I think, like, from what we can do in the next two games, at least try to figure out who we really are. Like, and then we take it the next step further. What can we do in order to improve? Both, if the answer to that question is positive or negative, because now at least you have the time to figure things out before that really, really tough stretch that you're going to have in December. You're going to be facing
right.
Atalanta, you're going to be facing Napoli, Juventus. So That's what I'm saying. Now is the time. If you need to figure things out, this is the moment. If this match can teach you something, is that this team is two faced. It's like Tommy
Mm.
Lee Jones in that Batman movie, in that god awful
Oh,
Batman
that
movie.
very god awful. Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's who Roma are. They're Tommy Lee Jones, a perfectly lovely Midwest guy, and at the same time, the terrifying Harvey Dent in the Joel Schumacher Batman. Um, so we just have to prove that, like Tommy Lee Jones, who told Jim Carrey in that movie, he told him face to face, privately,
I will I will
that
not be
I will not
um
stand your buffoonery.
before
He told him face to
yes.
face, I will not stand your buffoonery. Yeah, we have to do that. We have to tell ourselves, like, either you learn to win and play consistently, or you have to make a realization. Who are you as the team? Who are you? Can you
Mm,
compete on a number of fronts, or do you have to back out of the Europa League? Or, like, you have to make these considerations at this point in
oof.
time. You have to make them, because then you will have a terrible stretch in the Serie A. Then you have Coppa Italia against the wonderful Cremonese, and then you
Oh,
still
we
have the Europa League to compete for. So these next few weeks are gonna fly by, and they can go one way or the other. Tonight was the result that allows you to hope for, something more than just, once again, sitting down and having to watch all the other teams in the league cruise by you. I just want I just want Roma to make considerations. That's all. It's like tonight result should be exciting, but it should not be straightforward, because tonight was really far from guaranteed, far from straightforward. So there are still, despite the nice positive result, there are considerations to be made, important considerations.
Oh, absolutely. I will reiterate one thing I did say after Roma drew against Torino in the latter stages of the match, in the dying moments when Zapata equalized. I will say that in this case, the manner in which you win, it can do a lot to propel you forward, in my opinion. There are some matches, it doesn't matter ultimately what the buildup was up into the final result, but the final episode of the match, one way or the other, whether positive or negative, that is something that can have either a positive or a negative effect on you. And I think that is something that in this case, regardless of how crap they play, because listen, we've come on here, we haven't talked about one thing: the midfield, the defense. We haven't talked about the attack. None of this tactical or technical crap, because frankly, I don't think a game like this really warrants it, and it's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense. Frankly, it's not going to have, in my opinion, much of a what we say. It will be very granular and associated to only this match, because I think, again, Roma have proved from one match to the next, very little is consistent, which is a problem in and of itself. But in this case, I think just the pure fact and just the manner, because when you win like that, it doesn't matter if it's against Lecce, Liverpool, Juventus. It doesn't matter. Look at the emotions.
Oh, absolutely. Lukaku cried at the end, like,
Yes.
in a match against Lecce. So, I mean, he could have cried earlier on. He could have cried at the end of the match against Inter. Goes to this big, acclaimed return. The whole crowd against him. Surely there are emotions involved. No, he cries tonight. Tonight means a lot to him. Why? We may never know. But that's, as you say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. To me, the important thing, because we say it time and time again, when Roma give us these results, we say, oh, this can turn things around, this can give you the necessary boost. Well, tonight really could give you the necessary boost, because tonight you had no shot. I will pay $100 to anybody that tells me that they believed we could still pull off a win in the final minutes. Like,
And
no
look at you with
way.
the straight face. Yeah, yeah.
No way. No way. So tonight was really a rise from the dead. And uh, I don't want this to be just swept under the rug. Obviously, it's a result
Mm.
that should have been there in the first place, but the way it came about is really can be season altering for Roma if they interpret it right. If the big if they interpret it right, if they get lucky with the injuries, if they get some of the players back, that's what I mean. But it can do wonders for you. It's the problem is that I've said this time and time again in the past, and I've always, I was never proven right, unfortunately.
Let's leave it there because I don't think there's anything more to add. I think what you just put right there is a very succinct and accurate description of what Roma can take from this and how they should move forward. Because again, the emotions that come from this, in my opinion, again, I think they can do one of two things. They can either propel you forward, or they can just be a singular result, a singular match, and you don't take much from it. So it's up to them now. I mean, there's nothing more you and I can do to try to make sense of it because matches like tonight make sense to nobody. Trying to find a reason, trying to find explanation, it is a fruitless exercise. So no reason for us to engage in it. So we will leave it there. We will be back later in the week after Europa League action and before the derby. So plenty of stuff going on. Until next time, ciao.
Ciao.